Hello, welcome to Elevating Aesthetics Podcast. This is Courtney.
And Brittany. So today I wanted to talk about kind of what drives us, what makes us us. In saying that, I want to talk about our core values. What would you say are 2 or 3 things that motivate you and make you you?
I would say first, I always delegate reading like a scripture a day, making sure my faith is in line, family, children, husband. And I love to continue to educate. I love reading history books. I love watching history. I just love to continue to educate myself. I love knowing facts. And then I would also say discipline.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in discipline. I believe that discipline is important, that we all should have in us, whether it's discipline at work, discipline at the gym, discipline, not to eat bad things, which is so hard. What about you?
So interesting that you say discipline, because whenever I was trying to lose weight, this was back when I was 19, 20 probably, I had just the word discipline on a big piece of paper and it was taped on my fridge, and that's what got me through. That was my word. Yeah. So that really speaks to me. As far as my core values, I would say I like authenticity. As hard as it can be to feel like you don't fit into situations, I've tried my best to be authentic and be who I am and try to represent. And I think we briefly touched on this with Michelle, but be myself, whether it's in person or on social media or whatever it is, because when you're your true self, you are reliable in the means of, my team members, my family, like they know what to expect from me. I'm not pretending to be someone else, so they can feel secure in knowing that I'm going to maybe be direct sometimes, or I might speak my mind, but that's me being authentic and being myself and not suppressing my feelings. And I try to do it in a nice type of way, but I think that that's something that's really important to me.
People appreciate that,
and I appreciate it in other people. Like, I want to know, how is this relationship really working? Like, is there something that, you could tell me that I can maybe do better to make me a better friend?
That's so important. Like, that's why our relationship is the way that it is. I've never had a relationship like our friendship before.
Yeah,
we're so honest. If something hurts my feelings that maybe you've done, or an issue, we tell each other
in a nice way.
In a nice way.
Communication is so important. I think that a lot of people are so afraid to speak their mind, but what we have to understand is that speaking your mind doesn't have to be done in a negative or condescending or mean way. You can just say, when you said this is how I felt.
Right.
It doesn't have to be, well, you're mean and
it's about the way you deliver it.
Delivery.
Yeah,
I agree.
Because you can get the same point across in the way someone will receive it will be different on the way that a person delivers it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think that, and even with Tony and I, whenever we're frustrated in the moment and we kind of play the blame game, and it makes it really easy to put your feelings on them, and me say, well, you did this and you did that. Yeah. But the best way to communicate, instead of blaming someone else, is to say, okay, this is how I feel about the situation, because those are our own personal feelings.
Yeah, the way you receive things it's just different.
Yeah.
I may not, and that's the same with love.
Perspective.
Too.
It's perspective too.
And even love, like the way I receive love may not be the way that you receive love. And I could be showing you the way that I receive love, and it may mean nothing to you at all, because that's not the way that you receive it.
What's your love language?
Gifts. I hate that mine is gifts, because I sound like a brat. Like, I love to be gifted.
But what is your love language to other people? How do you show love?
By giving and by actions. I give my time. And I love to be there, like in the moment for somebody. But it's not so much like a gift. It's the fact that you were thinking about me when you weren't around me.
Yeah.
That's what I was like, oh,
being thoughtful.
A dang granola bar. You thought about me at the gas station. Thank you.
That's funny, because it's true though.
Like, I feel so loved. I wasn't around you. You thought about me.
But I agree with you because mine is also gifts. Like my love language to other people is gifts.
Definitely.
But the way that I receive love is by acts of service, but to me, that's still a gift of giving.
Yes.
And so they're both giving love languages. It's just in a slightly different type of way. So for me, the way that I feel loved by my husband is him, you know, even picking up Andy for me and having dinner ready when I get home, like that, you know, doing little projects for me. That's how I feel loved. I don't want him to buy me a gift because I'm going to buy what I want anyway.
Facts.
But him doing an act of service for me is a gift to me, and that's what makes me feel loved. And so the way that I show love to other people is by buying things. Mm-hmm. Like I love to give people dinner or little treats or whatever it may be.
I also enjoy giving gifts. Like I even love getting my dog toys.
Yeah, I do too.
And
treats.
So excited. I'm like, I got you all this stuff.
But no one or no thing is more excited to see you when you get home than your dog.
So true.
Plus a toy. Okay, if I want some endorphins, I'm going to bring my dog a toy because I'm more excited than they are because they're excited to see me.
Yes, agree.
They like wag their whole entire bodies. Like,
mine knocked me to the ground.
And I'll talk to him. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you, so good to see you. And Tony's like, why don't you greet me like that? I'm like, when you come to me like this and say, honey, okay, well, then I'll do this.
Do you want a toy?
Squeaky. They get me excited because they're so happy to see me. But
okay, so reeling it back in.
I'm going to have to stop and get my dog a toy on the way home.
I know, because you want that. You want that feeling.
I'm going to pick up my husband at the airport. I'm going to get him a toy and see how he reacts. Okay, sorry.
You mentioned you having authenticity, and that's very important to you. Is there anything else that is really important to you that you value?
From both like a team perspective and from a friends and family perspective, I really value unity and collaboration and making sure that we're on the same page. So for the team, I would say, you know, doing check-ins regularly and saying like, hey, you know, let's talk about your goals. How are you feeling?
That's my favorite, by the way. I love that.
Once a week. Can we do an eval? You're perfect. I don't have anything to tell you. Unity also as far as making sure that we're a cohesive unit. And again, that's true at work because we're like a family here. And I know that's cliche to say, but making sure that the job that I'm doing is making your job easier. Yeah. And I think as a whole team, that's what makes Mila so successful because we do regularly check in with each other. Hey, I'm caught up. Do you need help with anything? You know, do you need me to help you change your sheets or with the front desk? Do you need me to scan a chart in? And the front desk will come back and say, hey, do you want me to get this patient back? So that to me is unity. And then in your home, it's so important with your spouse to have unity with decisions you make for your children or decisions you make with finances or decisions for a vacation that you're going to plan or whatever it is. So I think unity as a whole is something that really speaks to me on all levels.
I agree, for sure. It's almost like baking a cake. You need every ingredient.
Yep. To get the best result.
To make the cake. And if one thing is off by measurement, then you're not going to have a good cake.
Yep. I like it. Whenever we're working as a team, obviously that's going to translate to the way our patients feel whenever they come in because we want them to feel well taken care of. We want them to see us as like a well-oiled machine as a team. And that also translates into the patient room because we want them to feel comfortable when they're here.
Right.
And I think so often too, from a comfort perspective, we always talk about physical pain. People are like, okay, I'm going to give you this numbing cream for your physical pain. You know, we're going to make sure that you don't feel the needle or whatever it may be. But sometimes we forget there's also a mental aspect to our patients coming here.
Absolutely.
So mentally, if we can help them feel relaxed from the time they walk into the door to when they get into the treatment room, that opens up the opportunity for us to talk about the mental aspect of having needles injected. Yeah. A lot of people have fear surrounding these types of treatments. And so I feel like you're really good at this, kind of joking with them, building rapport, making them feel comfortable. And then from my perspective, I go in and like, I'm really nervous. I'm like, okay, are we nervous about the feeling? Like, are we nervous about the needles? Are we nervous about the result? And I just talk them through the whole process. And then by the time I'm injecting them, they're calm. They're relaxed. I think that as providers, we need to remember that there's such a holistic, you know, approach that needs to be taken with our patients and not just saying, oh, you have numbing cream, you're fine, because we haven't treated the mental aspect of their care plan.
And I also feel like budget is uncomfortable to talk about in front of the patient. So whenever you're evaluating the patient and going over treatment plans, how are you incorporating a patient's budget? Because that can be uncomfortable to a patient to talk about budget. A lot of the times we saw a patient today that saves up for a whole year, and that's their one thing they do for themselves is they save up for a whole year, and that's their one thing that they do for themselves. So how do we incorporate budget and treatment plans for the option to make it the best comfortable experience?
I think that perfectly aligns with the mental component of it, because part of their anxiety can be, okay, I'm coming into this spa and I know these treatments are really expensive, and say they've never been to a med spa before, they've never had Botox, they've never had filler, they don't know what to expect. So they don't even, a lot of my patients that are new think that their treatment's going to be $4,000 or $5,000, or they think it's going to be $200. It's two wildly different parts of the spectrum, and neither one of those things are wrong. But again, to take away part of that uncomfortable feeling in the room of asking them, our intake sheet now says, do you have a budget for today's visit? And that allows them to freely think without pressure, without me staring at them saying, what's your budget today? And then they're like, oh, I don't know what to say. They're able to write it down, and then we're able to go in and communicate, okay, so these are my recommendations for you, and I see that this aligns with your budget for today, so let's start here. I will also recommend these skincare products. I know it's not in your budget today, so let me give you a sample pack and see if you want to try it, and if you like it, then you can come back whenever you're ready and purchase a skincare product. I think from also a care plan perspective, that's super helpful, because we're able to show them a whole 12-month care plan and tell them, like, we don't need to do everything today. We don't have to do everything today. So let's start small within your budget, and then we can build every 3 months. You're going to be back for something every few months anyway. So we can slowly build on your care plan over time.
Yeah. And then that also, it's not pressurizing them. They have time to plan. We offer payment plans. So that's also a comfortable thing for the patient.
We have a few different financing options, which I think is super useful. And we have the beauty bank too. So they could always, bank services for services with you. And Tanya, our memberships are really helpful, because some people just need like a layaway option. Like they know they're not good at saving money, so at least they can make money with us in that way and get a little discount. But I'm all about care plans. I feel like that allows them the opportunity to be educated and decide if those things are best for them and their budget, but they don't have to do it in front of us. They don't feel pressure to do it in front of us and make a quick decision. I tell them, I try to take the pressure off right away. I'm like, I just want to give you some information. I want to tell you about it, think about it, do some research on your own. And then if you want to talk about it again, when you come back, we'll talk about it again. And
give them some brochures.
Yes. They always leave with a skincare sampler or two, a care plan, and some brochures.
Yep. We like paper.
Yeah, we do. I so value learning and education and networking and conferences, and I can never learn enough. And I feel like you're the same exact way. You love to read, and you love to learn, you love to take courses. So, hard question, but what would you say to date, because you've been with me for 3 years now, and then you did your aesthetics program too. You're doing an acne program.
Right.
What would you say has been your most valuable educational resource?
I would honestly say books and social media. The group pages that I'm in on Facebook, I'm on like esthetician group pages. I'm on
PRF.
Yes, I'm on all these different pages, and people will post things that they're seeing in their practice of a patient, whether it's some type of fungal acne, some bump, some hair thing going on, anything. And you'll see all like thousands of people commenting like, I think it's this, and then here's a link to study more on this. And I get lost. I'm always looking, and I'm like screenshotting that. If I ever see this, at least I know some type of way to guide this patient.
Yes.
So helpful. And books are amazing. I can't even remember off the top of my head the author, but it's a book of 250 questions of any type of skincare question. And
is that the one that I got back in the day? That's such a good book.
That is the best book ever, because it's like, these are such great questions, and the answers are dumbified down to where I understand.
I totally align with what you're saying. I do a lot of ebooks, so I have a Kindle and I'll read ebooks. I love actually listening to podcasts. I learn a ton from aesthetic podcasts. I love social media. I actually learn a ton from other injectors. I follow mostly injectors and other doctors on social media, and I love seeing updated injection techniques or articles that they'll people post, and
Mhm.
the Facebook groups, like you said. I love the aesthetic
Those are
medicine
awesome.
and wellness group. I totally agree with everything you're saying. And I think aside from that, going to conferences is such a good educational resource, because not only are you getting the education from the speakers, but you're also getting the networking, which turns into education.
Yes.
Because I've made industry contacts and they're like, oh, like I have a girlfriend, I love Brittany Pollock. She's amazing. And I met her at a MERS event and we've stayed in really close touch with each other. And she's amazing at peptides. She does a lot of weight loss stuff. So I'm like, I know that as soon as Mila gets ready to do weight loss, she's going to be my girl that I'll call.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she would help me in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
So any type of connections that I can make have been really valuable.
And then that way you're also like, you are able to refer people out to those people
Yes.
that you meet.
Yes.
Like, oh, I'm moving to Texas. Oh, well, go see this girl because this girl's a girl I met and she's amazing.
Yes.
So I love that too.
Yeah. That's what helps grow us, because we're helping one another. Like it's just a teamwork. It's a teamwork across the US. It's not just within our practice. And we have so many local resources too, and local friends from, you know, having Method and having other injector friends, and we bounce ideas off of each other as well. It's a really good community. I messaged Kimber the other day because she had a really amazing acne scar outcome from her laser, and I was like, dang girl. And she sent me her settings. I was like, that's so good. So anyways, I love it.
It's because we all have a passion for, you know, to help people's confidence. And whenever you are surrounding yourself around every providers that have the same vision, you're not trying to steal patients from one another. Nope. You're just trying to make someone that's in your chair confident.
Yep.
And that's all of our goals. So if you see 100%. A provider, you know, that has that mindset, then you're all the same team. Like you're working on the same team.
Yeah. Our goal at the end of the day, exactly what you're saying, is to take the very best care of our patient. And sometimes that means that we don't have that skill set that the patient needs. And they're going to come back to me maybe for their tox or their filler or whatever it may be, but they may need an outside resource for another part of their care plan. And that's completely okay.
Yep. So
awesome.
Well, yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, we hope that you learned something from our podcast today, and we will see you next week. We're actually going to have Andrew Martin on our podcast, and he is our financial advisor. He has lots of good information, so we hope you join us for that one.
Bye.